Hello, everyone, and welcome to Eagles Power Hour, your official, unofficial Eastern Washington affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Patrick Frakes, and today we got a weird background. We got a muffled Patrick voice. I'm home on spring break. I'm sick. We're fighting some battles, but we are making it happen. Today we are interviewing senior wide receiver, Mr. Make It Happen, Nolan Ulm, and he was an awesome interview. He brings so much value to people's lives, so I definitely recommend everyone going and giving him a follow on Instagram and all that. But he was an awesome interview. That dude can talk for days, and I'm sure we'll try to get him on more and more as time goes on because he's a guy that one he loves coming on podcasts, but two he's full of so much knowledge and so many cool stories when it relates to Easter, when it relates to football, when it relates to life itself. And so this one was awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely share the hell out of this episode because it was so much fun. Nolan gave us an hour of his very, very precious time. I don't think anyone values time as much as Nolan Ulm does. So, I really appreciate him coming on the podcast and giving us some knowledge, giving us some Eastern stories and all that. So, huge thank you to Nolan for coming on the show. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this interview and go Eagles. Alrighty, welcome to Eagles Power Hour, everyone. And today we have another awesome, very special guest. We have Eastern Washington senior wide receiver Nolan Ulm on the podcast today. Nolan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. It's crazy even just hearing you say senior. Time flies, so I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, time does fly, man. Because it feels like just a year or two ago you were, I was seeing the long hair for the first time. Like, ooh, who's that guy? Like, that was definitely the initial attention grabber from you as a freshman that COVID year. So we're gonna mostly hit on your Eastern career, but we'll get a little bit before and a little bit after too. So I kind of want to hear kind of your high school journey when you started playing football briefly, and then kind of how was that recruiting process like for you, and how did you end up getting recruited by Eastern, and kind of what was that story like, especially as an international guy and being from Canada?
Yeah, great question. So, really, my freshman year in high school is where it all started. Like, I really was just like every other kid that was playing football. Yes, I had some outstanding abilities from the crowd, especially in Canada, but that's not really anything to write home about, especially being in a small town where I was from. But I remember we lost a junior varsity uh, game. I was a freshman. And I just remember so well the picture. I'm just looking, team, the field, the lights. And I just thought, man, I'm just tired of being good. I want to be great. I want to chase greatness. And so I didn't know what that was going to look like. But I was walking through my house and I seen Rocky Five on the TV. I'm like, Rocky Five, it's the weird one with I can't remember what the guy's called, but he's training the guy and then they fight in the bar. It's like really weird. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know there was a Rocky Five. So I called my grandma. She's asking me about Christmas presents. I say, Grandma, please get me the Blu-ray set. Yes, that long ago, Blu-ray set of the Rockies. We were just about to take a family vacation to Hawaii. And so she got me that, got to Hawaii. One of the nights, I'm just alone, put the movie in, and Patrick, man, it changed my life. Like, I watched that, and in that moment, I said to myself, I can be Rocky. So I came back home, and I just started waking up at 5 a.m. just training. I'd go to the CrossFit gym after school, train. And I didn't really know what for. I just wanted to create a whole new version of me. I wanted to, dare I say, like kill the older version of myself in order to continue to grow. I wanted to be in a daily crisis to become the best version of myself. Like some people have midlife crisis. Mine is an everyday crisis to become the best that I can be. So that's really when it started. And then I saw this IG post, this guy named Stuart Head, who had committed to Stanford, and then another guy, Chase Coda, who was at Oregon. You think he's bounced all over the league this year. But I saw their commitment posts, and Chase, he looked a lot like me back then because I had the short hair like him. And that was really the moment where I looked myself in the mirror and I set the goal of playing Division I football. I told everyone about it. I would not shut up about it. And I grinded for 3-4 years, fast forward through a lot of trials, tribulation, failure. People told me that I couldn't do it. People looked me in the eyes, told me I couldn't do it. Parents would tell me how it's impossible. basically just crapping on my dream. And it's crazy to look back now because it was just a reflection of their belief that like it is a very hard thing to do, but they're not me. They didn't understand the passion that I had and the burn that I had behind what I was doing. So I grinded, man, and it got to the point where I was now like kind of a freak athlete, but I didn't really know how to play football. But I knew I had a method. I had a couple of different things that I did. I had a huge email list of coaches. Chase Claypool did that. I'd hear stories of these guys that had done it from where I was from, right? Because he's on the Dolphins now. And then different guys, even like Dante Bull, who played at Fresno, was the first overall pick, I believe, for the CFL draft, I think a year ago. So he's playing up there with Ottawa. And so I saw what they were doing, and the biggest thing I knew I had to do was I had to get like legit numbers. People didn't care about getting a 40 from a camp up here in Canada. So I went down to the Nike opening camp in Oakland. It's crazy. Efton was actually there. I didn't even know that. And everybody and their mama was there too. Like Roman Wilson, Brendan Rice, G. Scott Jr., Jalen McMillan. I can keep going down the list.
Yeah.
Like there was probably even more that I wasn't aware of. Like this was the spot to be at. This is my first experience. And I go in there. I had to go day before to do the combine to make it to the Nike opening regional because it's invite only. So I went, run a 40, do all this stuff, test off the charts. And I remember the guy that was running it. I can't remember his name, but he's a super huge name in the football community. And he was like, Nolan, we'd love to have you back tomorrow. I don't know what you're doing. I'm like, dude, that's what I came down here for. Like, yes, I'll be here at the regional tomorrow. So showed up the next day. Yeah, even guys like Kendall Milton, who's a running back for Georgia. I don't know if he's declaring yet or not, but just freaks. And then Jerry Rice even pulled up because Brendan was there. It was a crazy experience. And I went there, and this guy saw me, and he was looking at my numbers on my sheet. He was one of the coaches with Nike and the opening series that they had running. And he said, how many offers you got? And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, I don't have any offers. Like, I'm just this kid from Canada coming down here. And he looked at it, looked at me, looked at it again. He's like, yo, I got a guy that is the exact same as you, and he's getting major offers. And after that, I was like, okay, like, let's give me these offers then, man. So he was like, come talk to me after the camp. So I did the whole camp. It was awesome. Yeah, like guys like DJ Ugalele were throwing me passes. It was really a cool experience. And I left that really inspired. And like even that day, I ran a faster 40 than the day before. What a nice time, when you're 16 years old and you can run a fast 40 2 days in a row. That's crazy. Definitely not doing that now. So, I ended up going with this guy over to Ohio. Fast forward, we went on this tour we would travel with him and then the former DFO of Florida. What they would do is they got a group of boys. They're called OC Elite in California. And I'm so thankful for Kevin. That was his name. He runs the program. He took us out. We had a little bus tour and we'd go, around these different schools. We hit Indiana, Purdue, Toledo, Ball State, and most of them were either a camp or a private workout. So Purdue, we worked out privately with Coach Shepard, who was the receiver coach at Washington this past year and now is at Alabama. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty crazy. And he was on one, but it was just crazy experiences. I saw, who's the guy on the Cardinals? Rondell Moore. We saw him work out. That dude is a freak of nature. But yeah, we got to work out for all these coaches. And then I ended up having a really good day at Toledo. I started off the day with a really bad drop and then I balled out the rest of the day, but the coaches, nobody saw me drop the ball. So that was good. I told a story about that on my IG.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I ended up balling out. They came back. The DFO of Florida, his name was Landers, who travels with Kevin. He came into the truck. We're all sitting in this little van, that we're traveling around in one of those sliding door white vans. And he's like, we're going to offer Chase. We're going to offer Tarzan. And I'm looking around. I'm like, who's Tarzan? I literally asked that. My heart just drops. And he's like, that's you, man. And that moment was incredible. I've told this story quite a few times, but it never gets old, man. Like that was 4 years of just countless 4 a.m. mornings, just hours in the gym alone, like not wanting to do the workout at all, just like in like painful workouts. These were no joke, especially the people they see the way I work now. Like, man, they don't know what I come from. I come from pain. I come from struggle. I come from being alone. I'm used to it. So it's not really a new thing to me. It's so easy here because you have a team, like everything's sanctioned. You have to be there. I didn't have to be there for any of these. It was me waking myself up. So anyways, fast forward now, kind of how I got with Eastern. I'm gonna tell you a funny story, and
Okay.
I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but it was just the way I was thinking. So I just came from Purdue and all these crazy schools, and Coach Pat hit me up. Like the Nike opening was huge for me because I was top 45, I think, on the West Coast or something like that for testing, and so. Yeah, and then you look at me and it's like, okay, well, then why didn't you get these bigger offers? Well, I didn't know how to play football yet. And that's like Coach Pat was so incredible for that. And now Coach McDaniels, helped me up, polish a lot of these things off. But Coach Pat hit me up, yo, come down to our skills camp. It's mostly for development, but I really am interested to see like what you can do. I don't know how much he actually meant that, but I pulled up to that camp and I remember we're standing on top of Bruce Field looking down, like we just got there. And I didn't even know this was a place. It's only 5 hours away from where I'm from. Like, if I would have known that, I would have been coming to these summer camps. 5 hours away? Are you kidding me? So I'm looking down and I'm like, I look at my dad. I'm like, I'm never coming to this place. That's what I said to him because I just got the Toledo offer. I'm thinking, Purdue's facilities were the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm looking at Roos Field. I'm like, hell nah. But I didn't know what I was looking for in the recruiting process. All that shiny stuff, it doesn't mean anything. It's about where you're going to go grow, the culture, just all those things. I had no clue, though. So I go ball out at the camp, and really what got me I think, a huge interest was from Coach Pat was I did a triple broad jump, and I kept getting past 10 yards, and that just, like, kept sticking out to him. But I was looking around, and I kept, like, murdering everybody around me. But it seemed like nobody cared. But little did I know he was watching from, like, the other side of the field, so – had a good camp, and then he gave me MVP and was like, I don't even know where this guy's from. I remember he was giving me the MVP shirt. He's like, I don't know where this guy's from in Canada, but he had a hell of a day. Like, great job, Nolan Ulm, bring it up. And then Patrick, man, it got, like, hairy for a little bit. That was kind of it. I didn't hear from Eastern. Really, that was the end of June, so, like, our normal skill camps. I didn't hear from them all of July. And at this point, Toledo, I wasn't feeling them. It wasn't right, and they were being weird too. Then I had a couple others, like North Dakota was one that stood out to me, but that was a partial. And I had a really good chance of Washington State, but I went to the camp and just didn't like. I got clamped up. All of a sudden, when I was going against other 3-4 stars, it wasn't as cool anymore. So, that all happens. And North Dakota's pressing me to commit because people in the Midwest, they like you commit way earlier than out here, at least back then, because that was a while ago now. But they're pressing me to commit, and I'm like, damn, where is Eastern at? Like, where is Eastern at? Cooper Cup, 2018 just came off the Natty. I'm like, where are they at? And then all of a sudden, Coach Pat texts me again in August, and basically, Coach Best was just saying that the staff had it off, and then Coach Best wasn't even at that camp that I balled out in. So I remember I got on the phone with Coach Best. I was on another visit at a Canadian school. I was never going to go to another Canadian school, but I wanted to at least go on these visits to. I don't know. Part of it was an experience thing, and then part of it was also like I don't know if worst case, and I wanted to take those trips too. And I really, really liked this one coaching staff, like loved them to death at this one Canadian school. So I was there talking to Coach Best. And then, yeah, it was cool, but it didn't feel like they were hot on me. It felt like they were just warm on me, Eastern. So Coach Pat's like, hey, but like I'm really messing with Coach Pat. Like he's hella cool. He's like, hey, come down to our game versus Lindenwood a while ago, right? 2019 D2 school. Yeah, you remember that?
I remember that one.
Hung up 70 on him. And I come down to the game, and yeah, it's like cool. There's not many other recruits there. It's just me and this other guy, Brandon Montoya, who's still on the team now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're chopping it up, and we go and meet with Coach Best, and I'm sitting on the couch. I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. And Coach Best just talking, and my dad's next to me, and Coach Best is like, yeah, so Nolan, I'm going to offer you a full ride scholarship and something. He just keeps talking. And like, that was another moment, like heart dropped. It was like, holy crap. We did not expect this. Like my dad was like, should we even go to the game? Like, is it a useful, trip that we're going to take down there? It's like a whole weekend. And holy crap, he dapped me up. Like, I remember he made the offer and then he just like slammed the table. Like, if you know Coach Best, anyone listening to this knows Coach Best, like, This dude, like, boom, I'll never forget that. Dabbed me up. We got out, and like my dad was like, I almost cried in there, and we hugged, and it was incredible because it took me a while to commit from there. I remember I committed on Halloween night with Coach Pat, and he was like, I'm going to do a backflip, but that's really like just such a special moment. And I kind of knew as soon as I got that offer, like, especially once I started to, like, Coach Pat really started to tell me about what Eastern was all about. I just didn't know. And him, like, that's why I really came here, was because there was, in my opinion, no better receiver coach. Like, to me, he's right there with Hartline and all those guys, Hartline at Ohio State. Like, he's still the best that I've seen and been around. And I still talk to him almost every other day. And so that's a long-winded way, but I wanted to give you the full context. That's how I ended up here at Eastern.
No, for sure. Man, Pat McCann's a guy that everyone spoke so highly of. Anytime he's brought up like in conversations and talking about like former Eastern coaches and all that, a guy that's such a highly spoken of character and a spoken of coach. Really, man, miss having him on staff down here because he was absolute guy. Well, so you kind of hit on that, but just when you're looking at the offers that you had on the table, what kind of stuck out and made Eastern your choice? Was it just kind of Pat McCann and the culture of the receiver room, or was there other things that that kind of swayed you towards Cheney rather than a Toledo on North Dakota?
Yeah, that's a great question. And even as we're talking now, I'm starting to think there was a couple other teams that were coming on late in the conversation. Rice was one of those. And I think if I would have waited a little bit longer, they would have given me an offer because they love Canadians down there. You've got Christian Covington, who's a legend up here, and he went and played down there. And it was the same thing. He had Eastern and Rice, and he decided on Rice. Now, Rice doesn't win any games. So at the time, it was like Eastern winning culture. And then, like, honestly, I love to win. But besides that, I'm here to play an infinite game of football. Like, wins and losses come a dime a dozen. And I just want to keep playing. I want to go play at the next level. And you can't deny the fact that we have more current NFL receivers than Mountain West schools have players. Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy. KB, Coop, even Shaq Hill, guys that have gotten opportunities. Tololo in the past couple of years. Andrew Boston. Yeah, like, you could just keep going down the list. Simba Webster. Mm-hmm. Brandon Kaufman, Greg Hurd, Nick Edwards, all those guys got NFL shots. So, and that's like we could name more than that. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is the receiver play here and the receiver room, and it's lived up to the hype. The standard and just being around the dudes that I've been around. Freddie Roberson, Tololo, Andrew Boston, just dudes, Ethan Chisholm. That's, I think, the biggest thing, which it was exactly what it lived up to the hype that I thought. And it was more than I could have ever asked for. I'm so glad that I went here because I honestly don't think there would have been a better spot. Like, where else are you walking past a Super Bowl MVP, their All-American plaque, and hearing how they worked and really competing with that? And that's like my whole goal since I've been here is to be the hardest worker and approach my career unlike anybody ever has. So,
yeah, man. So you hit on some of those names, like when you first come in here, all those guys, a Boston, a Tololo, man, who else was here? I'm blanking, but who are some of your early like role models? You come in as a freshman and you look at these guys and you're like, I want to be like that guy. I want to work to get there or work to be better than that guy. Who are those names for you your first couple of years?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I could talk, the guys who know me, I could talk so long about this receiver room. I'm really passionate about the culture and passing that on and advancing the standard really of this room. I would say every single one of them in their own way. Brandon Kaufman was really one of the first guys that I watched a ton of film on. I've watched his stuff a ton, and his ability to make big plays and big games and go get that ball and be aggressive. That's the biggest things I took from him. Cooper Kupp all around, just the man. But it's just his approach, his process, and his growth, I would say. That's what I really resonated with him. He came in skinny. He was always been a ball player. Let's get that right. Like, he was with the Mannings every summer. And, football was bred into him, but he needed to hit the weight room. And so that was inspiring for me from a growth perspective. I would say KB, Kendrick Bourne, really just his ball skills, like incredible catch radius, and same thing, like just consistency with how he approached the game when he was in it. Like some of these guys, like I'll be honest, like, in terms of habits, like there were certain things I didn't want to pick up from them, but there was a lot of things that I did. And so, Simba Webster growth, came in, was like, just didn't know how to play receiver. That was like me. And he just stacked years. And now he's a special teams dude. And when he gets this opportunity to play receiver with any team that he's with, he makes the most of it. Like Freddie Roberson, attention to detail with his craft. Like I've never seen anyone be so obsessed with receiver play, top of the route releases. Like that was his thing, and his movement of his hips. I tried to mimic it. My hips do not move like that. So I had to learn that quick, but he was a freak, but he earned that though. Same thing. Like came in, he looked like friggin' Bambi running out there, if I'm being honest. And that's like full respect and nothing but respect for Freddie, because he became, like, to me, if not one of the best route runners in the country. I see these clips at the Senior Bowl and stuff, and not many people move like Freddie does. It's like Calvin Ridley. And I know that was his goal. And I'm so excited to see what he does, with his pro career here. Andrew Boston, like just warrior. He would just go make same thing. Like hands were crazy, but like when it really came down to it, he got after it. And especially even early in his career, he gave me a cleat when he left, and it was all these Sharpies he would Sharpie like the Adidas that used to have those little like stripes for every workout extra he got. And so same thing, like just his approach, watching film, things like that when he was in the building was phenomenal. And then recent guys that weren't All-Americans, like Robert Mason III, Trey Mason, left the biggest impact on me than anyone else. Like he was my best friend. We attacked the process together, and I'm going to say this. I dare anyone to ever work as hard as us, ever in Eastern history, and have a process like we did. Like we just dialed it in more and more every year. We were so obsessed with things, and we just pushed each other. We had fun with it. And we understood each other, and it was incredible to see both of our growth. He went from a walk-on to a full ride to a starter at the end of his career. He started those last games of last season, which was his goal going into the season, which was incredible to see. Efton Chisholm, man, like he came in and was making plays right from the jump. That wasn't my situation. And so the way his ability to get into a different mode when he's on the field, like his flow, his focus, he just becomes a different dude, and he really has that dog in him. And so it's been incredible to watch him and his career progress, and really it's challenged me a lot too, because it's frustrating when I'm not making the plays I want to make, and he is, right? We're in the same class, and it's taught me a lot about, a rising tide raises all boats, and his success doesn't take away from my success. And it's just a blessing to have someone like that pushes you in different ways. On the field, his hands, top of the route as well. Like he's just a freaking ball player. Like if I needed a shortstop tomorrow, Efton's my guy. Like 100 times out of 100. Jacoby James, another guy, really, really good friend of mine. He, I know his career didn't go how he wanted to go, but like just really like loyal in key moments, and like just the grind. We had this thing, the Breakfast Club, me, Efton, and Trey, and Miles came late. But we really started this thing where we wake up at 6 a.m. We get these workouts, and we're still doing that to this day, the early morning sessions. So started that, did the whole speed program with like half the team last year. That was incredible. Anthony Stell Jr., like this dude was the twitchiest dude, one of the twitchiest dudes I've seen.
Yeah.
And same thing, just like took me under his wing when I first got in there. Man, who else? There's so many.
So many guys, yeah.
Miles Williams, like right now, Miles Williams, like he's going to be a dude. I'm just putting that out there. He's a freak. He moves like crazy. He's fast, twitchy. He battled some injuries last year. If he didn't, he would have like had way higher numbers. But same thing, like really with Trey being gone, it's me and Miles now. And we get after it. And he just is obsessed with this thing, like from top to bottom. He does everything right. He goes to bed at the same time. He watches film. He just does everything right. And that's the thing. I think some some of these guys, you can just see like there's lessons you learn positively and negatively. And Miles is going to be a really good example for guys for years to come. But man, there's so many others too. Even guys like Michael Taras, like he wasn't here for a while, but he had a great process. Like anyone that comes in, it's cool how this room brings out the best in them. So if I'm leaving anyone out, I feel bad. But man, and then just all the older guys too. Like I already touched on them, when we were talking about that really briefly. But we've gotten everybody on Zoom, every single one of those old guys, and talked to them, and they pour into this room too. And so there's a ton of, like, we just talked to Greg Hurd on Wednesday. So a ton of connections still with those guys. And I'm looking to be a sponge with every single one of those guys. And so, yeah, the receiver room is special here, man. Really special.
Yeah. So you talk about like those past Eagle legends. You've had the opportunity to meet and talk to a lot of them. You've had a number of Greg Peach, JC Sherritt recently on the Make It Happen podcast, and a lot of those former Eags. Is there any former Eag that stands out on having like a big impact on you? Maybe probably in the football side of things, but just on you as a person in general.
That's a great question. I keep coming back to Trey because he's technically a former Eag now.
Yeah, it's true.
Man, Greg Peach, though, for sure. Like, I was walking with him once a week, really up until this new year, and then we just get on the phone now. But he was a huge mentor, really brother of mine. We are super passionate. The reality is, man, like a lot of these guys, they graduate and football's kind of it, and they go live their life, but we're looking to constantly elevate in every single way. And we want to dominate impact, business, all these different aspects of things. And Peach has left a massive impact on me, especially partnering with this football camp up in Canada and Provision and everything that he's doing. Can't say enough about him and who he's becoming and is as a person. Really, really just stand out, dude. And he was a baller here, and he's just so humble about, where he was at when he was playing, all those things. I mean, Cooper Kupp's a big one. Just like I don't even like, I've never even really talked to him. Like, we had him on Zoom years ago, and we all got to ask questions, but I've never had a one-on-one with him. But like, just the legacy that he left, like that's a huge, like I said, I think it's pretty apparent. I've been chasing a lot of the things that he was doing. Obviously haven't stacked up even close to the numbers, but to me, it's not really like, it is about that, but it isn't. It's about who I'm becoming as a person. And my goal is to be, the best that I can be. And he's just something that I chase, and it allows me to fulfill that. So, man, a couple other ones, they're all awesome, man. Like, yeah, JC Sherritt, that was incredible. He like just was that dude, and he
Short
still
King
is.
legend.
Yes. And so it's really cool to talk to these people, but I think too, like I said, the coolest ones to me are the ones that are still doing it in life. Like Greg Peach just had a kid. He's going to be a phenomenal father. He already is a phenomenal husband. He's going to impact lives and just do things at the highest level. Like, it didn't stop after ball, because the reality is, like, this game is inherently meaningless, and not in a bad way, right? Like, it's super entertaining for people. It helps people grow. But at the end of the day, we need to become the best we can right now, because it's going to lead us to being way better fathers, husbands, just leaders in general out in the real world. And so, oh man, even just seniors that I play with, Ty Graham, Jack Sendelbach, those are some incredible ones too. But like, when you say that though, like Greg Peach is one that really sticks out to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, Greg is such an awesome guy. Like, he was so kind with his time, and he talked to me a little bit after our show. And you kind of, I don't know, you kind of talk to him, and you just get this, I don't know, just talking to him, you get the motivation. Like, hey, you got to be the best version of you every day. Like, he just has that aura around him. I don't know exactly what it is, but because he's not like a super, in your face, yeah, we got to do this guy. He kind of like talks a little slow, and I don't know, he just has that aura around him that's really, like, I don't know, motivating to me.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw it back to, kind of the beginning of your Eagle career for just a second, and then we'll start talking about after and now in your Eagle career. But did you have like a welcome to D1 moment?
Oh man, I had so many. Man, that's a really, like, there's so many that I could think of. I'm trying to think about one that really, I I mean, probably some of those first practices we had in the fall with COVID, it was really weird. You're
Yep.
practicing in fall, but you're not playing games, and you got masks on your helmets. I was physically very ready to play here. I came in, I was probably already one of the most physically well put together on the team. I still had a lot of room to grow, but I cleaned the most on the team. Aside from some of those big dog O linemen, like the first day I came on campus. But we went out to those practices, man, and it was just like I was just getting clamped every day. I didn't know how to get open, and I just was so stiff and rigid. And I don't know if there's a specific moment, but just like that period of time, I remember I told people this at the team meeting last year. I think last year, man, I would go back to the dorm and just feel like I failed. Like every day, I'm like, damn, like I was never gonna quit. But I remember telling my buddy Parker Johnson, who I was the best man at his wedding last summer. He was a quarterback here for a little bit, and then he moved on to pursue engineering really full time and switch over to a different school that would support him in that realm. But I remember looking at him being like, man, I don't know. And he's like, dude, it's one bad day. And he would just say that, like, no matter when it would happen, it's one bad day. Just keep going. And it wasn't even that bad. Like I talked to Trey about it, and Trey's like, bro, none of us were thinking that. But I was just so in my own head because I wanted to be Cooper Kupp. Everyone wants to be Cooper Kupp when they come here. And so I really felt like there was a time period there where I felt like I failed. And that happened again. I had an incredible offseason going into the 21 season, but I realized about game 2 or 3, it's like, okay, I'm not going to get Coop's numbers. Because after the first year, it's fine, right? He redshirted his first year. I'm not going to get those numbers. And I remember going to Coach Pat being like, yo, I feel like I failed. And he's like, what? Like, no one wants, like, people want to hear your story. This is your story. And he just flipped the meaning on it. And that's really what it comes down to. If you can master meaning and the meaning that you take from things, you'll master your life. And I think a lot of people don't understand how to actually do that, which is, the questions we ask ourselves, which is just thinking, right? And even if you're asking yourself right now, like, oh, no, it's not. Well, you had to ask yourself a question. Is thinking just asking questions? So you change the questions in your life, you change your life. Then if you change the language that you attach to things, because that's how we determine meaning. Like it's either a beautiful rainy day or it's a horrible rainy day, or there's so many other ways you could attach meaning. So he just flipped that in that moment. And all of a sudden it wasn't, I failed. It's, this is my story. And this is just one part of it. And that's really the truth. I done everything up to that point to control the controllables. And so I would say that was like my welcome to D1 moment was like, man, some of the things that have been done were absolutely incredible. Who knows if they'll ever be done again before, but there's so many circumstances that are outside of my control. And it's a better story now because I get to go on these and be like, yo, I sucked my freshman year. I couldn't run routes. Like ask anybody, ask Coach Brown, who's the DB's coach at Washington State now. He used to make fun of me all the time and not in a bad way, but it's just like, that's not the standard here at Eastern. And so I've become, up to this point, this receiver that I am, and look at where I came from. And so I think that was my welcome to D1 moment, was just getting clamped up every single day. And I used to dread one-on-ones, bro. I used to not like, I was like, dang, here we go again. Here we go again. And as soon as the offseason was around, I was like, thank God I can just like work on this stuff and hammer it out until when I get back into camp, boom, it's easy. But there were tribulations, and that's how it is. And even up to this day now, yes, it's a lot smoother. I've put in thousands of reps in so many different arenas, but not everything is perfect. And like that's the beauty of it though. But I can look back on those moments, and though that pain made me, and it created a ton of passion that I have today. So anyways, long way of saying it was really just a period of time. And I think a lot of guys go through that freshman year is tough, really, really tough for guys. So just like pushing through that is huge. And if you can really see the light at the end of the tunnel and know that the work that you're putting in now will pay off. If it's intentional, if you're doing a method that you know is going to get a certain result that other people have gotten, like you're destined to figure it out. So
Yeah, man, and you came in right during COVID when everything was all jacked up and all crazy. You want to talk about a little bit just kind of what it was like coming in? Your first year was fall 2020, wasn't it? If I'm
yeah,
remembering right.
that is right. Yeah. So we didn't know what was going to happen. I was up in Canada and just like grinding, working out for like 5 hours a day, which like looking back, I wish I would have done more receiver stuff, but we were grinding, came in ready, most fit guy on the team, like I told you. And we thought we were going to be here in August. Maybe we play in the fall. They push it back, push it back. We end up coming September 18th. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to stay in Canada for this time, and it just felt weird. I really wanted to get out. I really wanted to get out. And so we got down here. Everyone had a quarantine. I had like a 2-week quarantine because I was Canadian. It was crazy. I bought kettlebells, ordered them to Cheney. I had kettlebells in my room. I had a jump rope. We used to do 4 a.m. core sessions and then a workout in like the hallway of the dorms. So we'd start at 4:30 a.m. and then roll from there. So like there's some legendary moments. I mean, I can specifically remember me, Efton Chisholm, Cage Skank, Dejan Wells. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other guys that I don't think are on the team anymore. Or Marlon Jones was a part of that crew. We're just doing these overhead lunges in the freaking hallway because we couldn't find anywhere else to work out. Little did we know, like we probably could have gone to the URC, but it was weird though. COVID made everything tough, so we're doing these kettlebell workouts. I bought dumbbells. I bought all sorts of stuff. So we're grinding in the dorms, and then everything was just weird, man. The lifts were all spaced out, and then like I said, the practices like we weren't able to practice at the start, and we all had to wear the masks and then stay far apart, and like that was a grind doing these things like covering your mouth, and everyone had to experience that. But they were pushing us hard. We'd go right to like a PRP down the road, play around practice for those who don't know, down at this like random grass field in Cheney.
Yeah,
So it was pretty crazy. Like it was a lot of on the fly figuring out like what is it going to look like, and then we finally got news that we were going to have that spring season in 2021, early 2021 that year. So that was exciting to prepare for that. But I had to make a ton of sacrifices, especially being international. It made it really difficult to get over the border. And I remember that Christmas, I didn't even go home. I went with my buddy to Benicia, California, Cam Lane, who was a really good safety for us. And I went home with him so that I didn't have to risk quarantining on the way back. That's how important it was to me because I knew we were going to come back right into camp. And that was incredible because I went down to California with him for 3 weeks, and I got to spend some incredible time with he was a twin, and then there was another set of twins, and then there was another brother, and it was an incredible experience down there in the Bay, and got to run routes against these guys every day. And that's really where I came back, and I was a lot more prepared, and I played as a true freshman and caught passes as a true freshman because of that. Like we went and just got after it, one-on-ones every day. I just grind the same process, and I just learned so much being at another household during Christmas. It was an incredible experience. So then after that, it calmed down a little bit, but that was really the peak of it. Like not being able to really do much. There was no one in the dorms. We had a single, like you got to have a room to yourself, which thank God. I wouldn't have been able to live with someone because I wake up at 4:30. I'm like working out. I'm doing all this weird. I'm doing this breathing techniques. Like people wouldn't have liked living with me.
yeah.
So that was good. And I honestly, I didn't care. Like I don't need parties. I don't need any of these things. Like I wasn't interested in any of that stuff. I was interested in ball and just ball, and doing school enough where I could play ball. And I still, my goal was a 4.0 and I had that for all. I'm at like a 3.8 GPA, but it was definitely weird. But for me, it was just the only thing that sucked was the weight room was tough access for a little bit and those things. But as long as I had an opportunity to grind and play, like it was a dream every day waking up. But eventually through, like I said, when I came back from Christmas, it kind of chilled out, especially we were able to play football that spring season. So
Yeah, that spring season was so weird, like the whole setup to it. That was the 1 year in my 20 years that I think it was the only one since I was maybe 2 years old that I didn't get to go to an Eastern football game. It
right,
was
that's crazy.
insane. Like I've been doing it every year for my entire life, and that year we didn't even get to go to a game. It was so weird. But so we're gonna kind of jump forward now. We're kind of talking about the beginning of your career, and obviously, if anyone follows Eastern football, they should or do know about the whole "Make It Happen" stuff that you have going on, the "Make It Happen" podcast, "Make It Happen" performance, all the "Make It Happen" football camp. Kind of, what was the inspiration to to start the "Make It Happen" stuff, and kind of when did it start?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Really, where it started was I watched a Tony Robbins documentary a couple of years ago, again, for the second time. And it was in that moment that I really, and especially when all these things, I felt like I was failing in football, but I really started to question, like, is my life really all football? And what is the meaning of life? Things like that, right? And I'm rooted in my faith. But I was just like, what am I here to do? What are my gifts? I'm not like my gifts aren't purely catered to football. If they were, I'd jump out of bed and be able to run a 4.3, but that's not me. I'm not one of those guys. I've seen those guys. I play with some of those guys right now. But I really started to be like, you know what is this all about? And I'm like, man, like I want to help people. I want to impact people. And so I started posting on my story just one word quotes. And then people were just loving that. And I said one day I was like, some people make excuses, some people make it happen. And then people kept doing that. I'm like, I could start a podcast tomorrow. I just use my phone. I knew this thing called Anchor. I'd heard it on podcasts years ago. I'm like, I could totally do this. And I want to share this Tony stuff. So boom, I would just go in my closet and start filming this thing on my phone, put that out. And then like when I launched that, everyone like shared it and everyone loved it. And it was awesome for me because at the end of the day, my purpose and why behind that, even today, there was times where it was like, man, I'm getting the same amount of listens every single time. But what kept me going is I'm making it for, I've got 2 little brothers and I know that they'll have that. And then honestly, it's grown into this huge thing where I've been able to get a ton of incredible people on, and people are like, I mean, you probably see it with your show too. Like people listen to episodes all the time. Every day someone's listening to me. And so that is crazy to me. And it just continues to grow now. So that's really where it started. And then the football camp, I had ran one back in where I'm from in Kelowna, just myself, back in my high school. And then Greg Peach, hey, if you ever do another camp, let's go do it. And then that thing just exploded last year. We had 86 kids come out, 20 coaches. The coach to player ratio was incredible. It's going to be a way bigger camp this year because everyone knows what we're doing. But I've never heard of anything, as far as I'm concerned, bring up 20 plus current Division I players, former NFL, former CFL, current NFL players this year that we're bringing up together up into Canada. So that was groundbreaking. And that really, to me, is I'm just going to continue to build that up to where it runs on its own. And I want that to run as long as my heart beats because I want to give back to where I came from. I really feel that that's my duty, and to share my story of me making it out. That was always my why, man. I wanted to inspire all those kids to show them that they could do it. All those parents told me I couldn't do it. Nah, that's BS. Like anyone can do it. And it's all about, it's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. And once you really accept that and understand that, you're free in life. So doing that. And then, Make It Happen Performance. That's more recent, but same thing. Like, how do we provide all these opportunities to these guys and really do something in the realm that I'm passionate about in terms of an entrepreneur, journey. And that's what we did. So we created this app with TJ Conley. That was incredible. And so that thing's running, and it's been incredible. We got a bunch of guys on the app right now, a ton of athletes that we serve, and that formed from a bunch of different things. But I'm registered with Tony Robbins now as a Robbins Madonna's trained strategic interventionist, human needs psychologist, which is crazy to think back 2 years ago watching the documentary that I'm in this spot now. But it's not surprising because I'm always looking for more, man. I'm always looking to grow and just take things to the next level. And I'm never satisfied with any area of my life. And I think with football, these things help me be a better football player. And also it didn't get boring, but it was, we still do the fundamentals every day, but it just wasn't like rapidly growing myself as a human. And that's what I got obsessed with. So those are all kind of the branches that we got going. And I'm super passionate about continuing to grow those and get those going and be able to help. Our thing with Make It Happen Performance is we help football players that are hungry, that want to get to the next level. We help them get to the next level with performance coaching. And we have some deliverables and things that I've never seen out there. And especially with football camp too, like there is secret sauce here at Eastern Washington at the receiver position from technique standpoint. And so I wanted to give a lot of those back. And that was the first year when I went back, it was just receivers, and then it blew up to every position. And so we're looking to really form these fundamental principles behind teaching each position in order to give them the best information in the world. And then we mix together all these different things that I'm passionate about, like different speakers come in. I talk a little bit and we talk about goal setting, all just those skills of creating a life of, outstanding and excellent and, all those words, just an incredible quality of life for these kids and helping them to be the best they can be. And that's ultimately my goal, man. Like my goal with life is to impact 1 billion people in terms of actually improving the quality of their life. So right now I'm attacking in the realm that I know best and that I'm in, which is football. So.
Yeah, I want to hit more on that camp. So, when did it initially start? Was it 2 or 3 years ago? And then, kind of, what was the steps you took to get it going at the beginning? And then, how has it kind of grown? And hey, just promote it for a little bit here because it's coming up this summer. So, go
Yeah.
ahead and cut your little promo here.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, man, the camp is nonprofit. So I'm from a single mother. That's a huge part of my story too. She was 18 when she had me. We moved from Edmonton, Alberta to Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada when I was 3. So we packed up in the Toyota Corolla, me and her. My dad was cocaine abusing, just not a good situation. So we had to leave and we got out and we moved into low income housing, just the hood, really bad spot. Our next door neighbor, a month after we moved out, murdered his girlfriend and their little baby, like just crazy spot that we were in. My mom was eating 7-layer dip so I could eat well. We had suitcases for tables. And then when I was 5, my dad passed away. So we went through it. And so the only reason we made it out was just the dog work ethic of my mom. And then people gave to us. So it's a nonprofit camp. All the proceeds go to Mamas for Mamas, which is a single mother charity in Kelowna originally, where I'm from, but it's branched out to be a national charity. And so, man, this camp has grown so quickly. Yeah, we first ran it 3 years ago now, and it was just me and my big bro, my mentor back from Canada, the guy that helped me a ton, trained me a ton. And that's a lot of the basis of the app. It comes from that principle of it takes a coach to bring out the best in you. And you need to find someone that's where you're at or where you want to go and find out what they did and model what they did. And so we just create that with the app and the camp. So it really all feeds together in order to help these kids as much as we can. And so we ran that. It went really well. And then, like I said, like Greg Peach came up to me and was like, let's do this. And literally, like, we're way ahead of where we were last year. In April of last year, we didn't know what we were going to call it still, but we're going to figure it out. And we got some really good donors back where I'm from. I've got some pretty deep roots where I'm from. And then, yeah, like the people were like, whoa, you're bringing up this. How many D1 players? You're doing this, you're doing that. Like, this is nuts. And so we got people out. We found a really good weekend that worked. It was really tough to find a way, but we brought all these guys together and almost became more for the camp coaches than anybody else. We had connections from all over, and the football world is so small. And we got on the boat. We hit jet skis. I mean, we hit a cross workout with the camp coach. So it was a great time for them. We had a really good coaches clinic up there. And then, yeah, we got down to the meat and potatoes, and we coached these kids up, and we got them right. And we got them competing, showing them what it's like to, like, this is what D1 ball is like. This is what college ball is like. So, and this is the standard you need to have. And the mentorship still goes today. I mean, Amani Williams, one of our linebackers, just told me the other day, dude, I still talk to this one kid via DMs. Like, he sends me stuff. I watch it. Like, how incredible is that, man? Like, I would have killed for that to talk to a current D1 player. Incredible. So this year, man, we're taking it to a whole nother level. It's going to be June 19th to the 22nd. So the 19th, we're going to have a youth camp, and that'll be really more for the local kids. We're going to bring out NHL guys that are in Kelowna. We got a ton of guys there. Shea Weber, Carey Price. We're going to bring them together, make a huge impact in terms of that, space. We want to make it super fun for the kids and make them attach so much fun to sport that they continue to play it for the rest of their lives, because we believe that sport is a vehicle to sculpt the soul, and that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you go play in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you go play Division I football or JUCO. What matters is that you become a better human being in order to go be, someone who makes a difference in this world. And so we're setting the base with that. And then on the 20th, we have the coaches clinic, which to us is one of the most powerful parts of the camp, because the coaches are the ones doing the groundwork once we leave. We can only do so much for 2 days, and we are going to leave a massive impact. But these coaches continue the development. So we need to get the coaches better, because if the coaches get better, everyone gets better. So we're gonna really up that up. We're reaching all around the province and in Alberta as well. And then even I've got kids down here that are wanting to come up, because, I mean, where do you have a collective of this many players? That it's a pure football environment. So we do the coaches clinic, and then, yeah, the next 2 days, like I said, it's a pure football environment. I don't care about stars. None of us care about stars. None of us care about making it about ourselves. Yes, it's cool that we have a ton of D1 guys. We have a ton of pro guys. But no, it's about the player. It's about them learning. It's about them being able to fail. It's about them being able to grow. It's not about getting offers. Yes, it's going to be an incredible opportunity for guys to get in front of people that have incredible connections to D1 schools, but we're not making it about that. I want to see you fail. I want to see you push yourself. And that's really what it's all about. We're like I said, we're reaching all around, and our goal is to, have 50 camp coaches this year and 300 athletes out. And so we're well on our way towards that. And that's really what it's going to look like. Like I said, the main portion of things is going to be that Friday and Saturday. So it'll be Friday, basically evening into Saturday all day. And we'll be getting after it. It's It's really going to be incredible. We're going to have filmers out there. We're going to have film this year. Guys are going to be able to go on Huddle, check their stuff out. From all the practices, have it forever, one-on-one, skelly, indos. We make sure all the coaches have a principle-based teaching system. It's not a hodgepodge. Yes, we have a million coaches, but they come together on the fundamentals that they want to teach. And they're all going to teach it in a different way, but they're going to point back to the same principle, teaching method. And so we love it because we have so much diversity with our coaches that kids are going to receive different things from different people because they, package it differently. And so it's incredible. So we do that. And then, like they're leaving with a drill packet, all the kids. So they'll have drills to do all summer out of it. They'll have a plan. Like they can ask the coaches anything, and then they'll be in touch with the coaches. Like they're always a DM away, whatever away. And our guys are super cool with that because we only bring on guys that are of the utmost quality of integrity and what we want these kids to model. And so, man, that's really the camp. Like you could tell I could go on and on about it, but it's going to be an incredible opportunity. We're going to make it like drinking out of a fire hose when it comes to learning about, preparing yourself physically, psychologically, technically, like within your within your position. Mm-hmm. And then tactically, like understanding the bigger picture of the game, and then also health and talking about these different things like sleep and nutrition, how important they are. Like we want to give it all away, man. At the end of the day, all the proceeds go to that single mother charity. So that's really the basis of it. And it with that, foundation of it, we're able to get these incredible coaches together and get this conglomerate that like you can't find anywhere else. A lot of people do their own individual thing, but the biggest thing that we pride ourselves on at Make It Happen and the Make It Happen Football Camp is that it's about making a way bigger impact together than we ever could make each individually. So that's football camp, man. You got to go on there.
No, I know. Do you want to hit on a few of those coaches? Because I know like some Eagle legends out there too. Like Dario Romero's up there from one of the videos you posted. Greg Peach. I know Jake Hoffman's done some stuff up there. Tons of players go up there. What are some of the Keelan White, Montana? We don't like the Grizz, but Montana receivers. So who are a few of those bigger names that maybe Eagle fans will recognize that'll be up at that camp?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Keelan. I know everyone was like, man, why you got a Grizz guy on your podcast? I'm like, man, that's my Canadian homie. And we made it out together. And it's like so cool to see what he's doing. I said, go crazy, except for the game against us. But
yeah,
that's huge for the community to bring together. Myself and Keelan are really two of the more premier guys recently after Chase Claypool to really be able to show these kids that it's possible and really go like ball out at this stage. So that's a huge one for the Canadian community. And then, Dario Romero, everyone from Provision Academy and their staff will be up there. Greg Peach.
Awesome.
Jake Hoffman. All those guys will be there. They did an incredible job last year. I'm trying to think like who else I can say because some of them were still in work in progress. Tavius Robinson, he'll be there. He just played in the AFC Championship with the Ravens. He was their DN. He had his first sack this year, rookie year out of Old Miss. And it's funny that visit to that Canadian school where Coach Best called me, that's where I met him at University of Guelph. So everything comes back around. And then we have just a ton of like BC high school football alumni pulling up that have balled out Canadian-wise. We've got some other just like I could tell you a million former CFL guys. I'm trying to think who else on the eastern side of things. Brock Harrison, a lot of those same guys that were up there last year that are current really dudes for us. Miles will be up there. Jared Taylor, Malik Dotson. Not many people know about him yet. They will this season, though. Man, I could just keep going on and on, but I think really the coolest one to me is Tavius. Like that'll be really, really cool to have a current NFL guy up there. Terrell Jana, he was a guy that played at University of Virginia and then in the CFL. So it's going to be incredible. Another guy, Michael O'Connor, that's one that really sticks out to me. He played at Penn State and then played in the CFL quarterback. So we're going to have some dudes at every single position. Greg is bringing up, Greg Peach is bringing up his just collective of guys that he really speaks highly of. Jamal Johnson, he was a dude as well and played in the CFL, and now he's an actor too. So I love bringing up these guys. Like, yeah, he's in some pretty big films. If you watch any Netflix shows, I'm pretty sure he's in a couple of them, but I like bringing these guys that are done football and they're doing these incredible things in other areas because they're going to be able to mentor these kids and to have connections that, man, like we're talking about life now, right? So those are a couple of the camp coaches. And for people that want to stay tuned on that, like just follow the IG camp, CAMP, Make It Happen. And we're posting new coach spotlights, every other week. We're getting them out as they come in. So
Yeah, man. It sounds like such an awesome thing, and it's something that like, man, I wish if I was a kid and I knew like, oh, you can go train with Greg Peach. Are you kidding me? Like, I would have been losing my mind over that. And I know if you don't plug into Eastern football, Greg Peach might not be like the biggest name you've ever heard in the world, but
Right.
for those little kids in Cheney, dude, that's the dude. Like, that's one of the one of the goats of Eastern defensive football, man. So we're gonna hit a little bit on looking forward to next year football wise. Make it happen stuff is awesome, but obviously we are an Eastern podcast, so we got to talk a little bit more Eastern football. Is there any specific game on the schedule that you're just super excited for this upcoming year? A lot of good ones. Getting the Montana schools at home. You know, Idaho is always a fun game. You got traveling down to Reno. Is there anyone that you're really excited for to go play in that stadium or to face them at home too?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, I have to preface this too. Like, it's funny. We don't even really think about the season really until like that first game really
Hmm.
comes around. Like, it's just so tunnel vision right now. And so I think one of the biggest things that I'm excited about is who I'm becoming right now and the process that we have. And I'm super stoked for spring ball coming up here and just to
Yeah.
get better and get the whole team better. I mean, if we were to look forward to next season, though, I mean, that Montana game for sure. The last one I played against Montana on the Red was a life-changing game experience night. It was just, dude, it was the best. One of my best memories, probably the most electric, easily the most electric atmosphere I've had on Roos Field ever. So that was incredible. Definitely looking forward to Montana State as well at home. Not super happy with how that finished last time, especially with the call at the end with my
Yeah.
catch. Um, so we'll be able to we'll tuck that thing in this time. Won't leave it up to chance. Uh, Reno will definitely be cool, but I think those Montana schools, and then I'm gonna be honest, I love playing in the Kibby Dome. I love it there. Like
Hmm.
it's a really cool stadium,
It
and
is.
things just last time I was there, they went really well. So I'm really excited to go play there again, and really, man, like just like I said, like continue to grow as a team. And I'm really excited from the offensive side of the ball, like
Oh
what
yeah.
everything we got coming back. Kakoa, Efton Miles, the whole basically O line, like, whew, we're
Yeah.
looking. I'm really excited. Tuna Alta here, and just the things that we're cooking up over here. I'm really excited about just our growth and really focusing on us. Like those teams will come, but at the end of the day, we don't. We focus on like how can we be the best version of ourselves every single day and win the day. So, but yeah, Montana is going to be freaking active, especially that's the first conference game. So let's go.
Oh yeah, it is. Man, I'm there. I don't care. I'm skipping whatever I have to do that. Man. So spring ball starting here, what, 10 days now? What are some things that if Eastern fans are going to go to spring ball and watch, what are some things that you're saying, hey, you need to be paying attention to this if you're at spring practices?
Man, that's a really good question. Uh, man, I would just say like, oh, just the operation of things. Like, I hope that the takeaways are our efficiency and our hyper focus on the present moment. That's what I really hope the takeaways are. And I think for Eastern fans, like just being able to kind of see a little bit of the pieces we're putting together and how the winter work has paid off. And then also like for us just to be like, okay, um, how are we going to get better? And every single day, just evaluating what's working, what's not. I love spring ball so much. You get to just play ball and really just focus on. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's tough. You're not looking forward to anything." Like, no, I'm looking forward to every day because when do you get to play football and get better in the off season? This is the only time before fall camp, and so other than PRPs, obviously, but we get to put pads on. We get to have coaches coaching. I think it'll be really exciting for fans to see these different coaches in action. To me, one of the coolest things is having Coach T-Mac back. Like that
Oh
was
yeah.
huge to have him back, and he's been absolutely the environment is elevated when he's been around. And so I even just like Coach McDaniel's in action, Coach Chapin, like I have nothing but incredible things to say about both of those guys. And it's been really cool building a relationship with Coach McDaniels this past year and this offseason up to this point. I'm just so confident the way that he's preparing us and believes in us. And then like just Coach Chapin is the man. Like I love the way he creates a culture on the offensive side of the ball. Because I just can't speak for the defensive side because I'm only in the unit meetings with the offense, and he just does an incredible job. And then I think also, like, for myself, I'm excited to see Coach Sanders. I think the world
Yeah.
of him too. Was absolutely juiced that we got him last year. Was a great addition to the staff, and even like just the new coaches. I think it'll be really cool to see the building blocks of what this season is going to look like. Just a sneak peek, really. That's what spring ball is,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah, man, I'm so excited to go head up to Cheney, watch some football, man. It's been a minute since we gotten to watch any football. So we're closing in on an hour here, so we're gonna talk a little bit of just non-football stuff to close it out here. I gotta ask you about the hair. That's been the not hot topic, but a topic that people will bring up when they think about Nolan Ulm is long hair. What's like the story behind the long hair, and will it ever be going away?
okay, so listen to this, man. I watched Thor Ragnarok in high school. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the Cheney. I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm gonna be all just rocked up. And I got here, and we were on the field throwing with Eric and Coach T Mac, and he wasn't coach at the time back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I think I'm gonna cut my hair. And T Mac didn't really talk to me that much, Coach T Mac. And I remember he looked at me right in my eyes. He's like, do not cut your hair. He's like, those people up there in those stands will know you because of your long hair. And I was like, okay. And it was a pain for the first couple of years, but then my guy Mal got me right. He faded me up, and so it's been great. And I love just like it's easy. I can really control what I'm doing with it, right? Like all of a sudden I have no hair when I put it up. All of a sudden I do when it's down. But as soon as I cut it, I don't have that option anymore. You can't just grow it back like that. So it's a little bit scary for me to cut it. I don't know how I feel. I'm definitely probably at least while I'm here at Eastern. Maybe it'll change when it's league time, but while I'm here at Eastern, the braid on game day, it's just been incredible, and it led to me getting into a flow state last year. So I think it's here to stay. Because I mean, even there, look, braid, put it up, put it down, man. There's so many options to do, and I have an incredible girlfriend that braids it up for me. So I'm really just set. So we'll see. Maybe I'll cut it. Maybe I won't. Maybe a playoff thing. Dye the hair red. We'll see.
Oh no, that would be the red the firehead. Jeez. Okay, well, and to kind of wrap it up here, we just hit an hour. What has been your favorite thing about the like Cheney Spokane community since you've been here the last almost 5 years now? What's been your favorite thing about the community as a whole since you've gotten down here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it this whole podcast. The alumni is incredible, and I think being tapped in right to Spokane is incredible too.
Mm-hmm.
Even Coeur d'Alene, I was just there a couple days ago for an incredible conference. The opportunities that come through here are incredible, and you don't get that other FCS schools. Like we have a major city right next to us, which is so phenomenal. And I know, sorry, that's a little bit outside of Cheney, but I kind of count that as the same
No,
area.
yeah, yeah.
And there's some really good connections in there with Eastern down there in Spokane. I would say, like, aside from that, man, like there's some really cool people that hang around here and really care about this place. And we see them every morning. I can just think of them right now, and they know us all by name. And it's just really cool, the special people that pull through this campus from every sort of sport. Like I get to go talk with Coach Dave Riley, who's a legend in the making and is already one right now. Like just this is so early in his career, right? And so I get to go talk to him. I get to see our women's basketball team win the championship a couple nights ago. Like there's some really cool things, and just the greatness of so many programs within this, athletic umbrella has been incredible. And yeah, like what I love about Cheney the most, man? It's just ball. Like there's no distractions, and it's so quiet. And I love that it's quiet and peaceful. Like I can vibe with anything, but dude, I told you what I'm into. I'm into getting better, playing football at the highest level, being the best that I can be. And that's really it. So, the only time I really go do things is to get groceries and maybe watch a movie every, 3-4 months. So, it's been incredible, but definitely the alumni and how many guys stick around and stay in Spokane is incredible. So,
yeah, I share a similar thing. I love that Cheney. It's almost the perfect mix of being middle of nowhere and somewhere at the same time, where you have Spokane right there, but you're still kind of in your smaller town. You don't got to deal with like insane traffic and and dealing with all the annoying city stuff. Man, well, that wraps it up pretty nicely for us. Go ahead and give yourself a little shout out on social media. I'm sure most Eagle fans will find you, but go and give a quick promo to all the stuff you're doing, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah. So just like I said, the camp is just Camp Make It Happen, and that's just on Instagram, and then everything else is just Nolan Ulm, just my name. I got a YouTube channel too. I got a ton of stuff, podcast, YouTube channel, putting a ton of content out, just looking to impact lives and really grow this platform to be able to share all these things that I'm studying to other people. So that's where you get where everyone can follow me. But man, I just want to say thank you for having me on. It's been
Dude, heck yeah.
awesome. You can tell how passionate I am about this school, this program, this university. So I told you, man, like what you're doing is incredible and it's spreading like wildfire. So just keep doing what you're doing and we'll keep doing our piece. And our job is to freaking start winning a lot again. So we're doing everything that we can for you guys. And I appreciate your love for this place and you putting on for all of us and creating these opportunities for myself and others to come on and talk to you. So
Yeah, man, it's a I guess labor of love. I put a lot of work into it. And I love doing it. So I and it brings me some awesome opportunities, getting to meet people, and meet people that I looked up to as a little kid. It's been really really fun doing this stuff.
right.
So thank you so much for giving us an hour of your very valuable time. I know how much value you put into time over there, Mister Make It Happen. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks again, Nolan, for coming on, and go EAGS.
Go EAGS.